things. I'm going to ask you two really quick questions. Do you think that Holocaust education in our schools is a DEI program? There's no card for that. That's just yes or no.
I can look at whatever card
Holocaust education, is it a DEI?
Much.
You can have a press conference to say whatever you want. I just need a quick answer to this.
Your soliloquy
is Holocaust, because this is my time, is Holocaust education a DEI program?
No.
Is African American Studies a DEI program?
I think I answered that with one.
I'm asking it again.
Listen, we should
just yes or no.
We should be able to teach courses.
My point is they are DEI programs, both of them, because students need diversity, equity, and inclusion to understand their environments. So both Holocaust education and the teaching of African American history are important, which is why the state of Connecticut requires it in our social studies curriculum. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't support one without supporting the other. And looking at what happens in the schools and actually deferring to teachers, parents who are on curriculum committees, local boards of education, and states who actually do the hard work, and listening to what they say would be incredibly helpful in this role.
It's time to move on.
I yield back.
I recognize the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Rulli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for coming today. We really appreciate your time. I spent 8 years of my life on the school board, 3 years as a school board president of a public city school. I know this subject fairly well. I was in the Ohio Senate for 6 years, vice chair of education. We all know that our school systems in this country have a severe problem. When you look at school systems like Cleveland, Youngstown, Akron, Canton, Detroit, and Buffalo, we have school districts that are taking $30,000 to $35,000 per year to educate a child that gets a high school diploma with a 4th grade reading level. There's a major problem in our school districts. Some of the small school districts, like my school district, Leetonia, we were able to educate our kids for about $8,000 to $9,000 a year and produce 11th or 12th day reading level. So there's a problem. I know the opposition party loves the concept of throwing more money at it, so let's do that. Because that's what President Trump just did. President Trump, on a K-12 simplified funding program, gave an extra $2 billion to all the public school districts throughout the country. And it even gets better than that, because the Biden-Harrison administration spent more than $1 million on DEI grants throughout the country. So if I'm doing my math right, that's $3.5 billion that we could take from the federal government, which will never have a trickle-down effect on the local school board, because I was on it for 8 years. So whenever you hang out with the treasurer of a local public school board, they're petrified to see what's going on with the federal funding. Where is it going? And the opposition party thinks it's so romantic that the money stays here in Washington, instead of ever going to the grassroots home rule effect. So in Ohio, we love home rule. So I'm excited to see these extra billions of dollars coming back to the local school districts. So Madam Secretary, my question would be, now that President Trump is giving back funding to the states and more efficiently, what results do you expect that American students could produce in the next 4 years under the Trump administration?
Well, it's certainly my hope that as we look at states being more focused and having the authority for more choice in education, that we're going to see our scores go up. But, you know, we have to have dedicated teachers, which I believe we do. And I think we need to take the handcuffs off our teachers so that they have the ability to be innovative in their classrooms. I think if we look at some of the programs that have been successful in other states, as I mentioned earlier, return to the science of reading and look at how phonics has made such a difference in getting back to some of that same kind of curriculum that we used to have. I've seen it work in schools. I have visited schools where they're doing that more classical education. So what I would like to see, and I hope we will see, and I think we will see, are state departments of education adopting more of those kinds of programs to make sure that, A, we get literacy in place, that we also have the ability to have school choice, and that states totally take this funding that is coming to them and see the areas of where they need to focus more of their dollars and direct that spending into those areas.
I love those words. In particular, in the state of Ohio, our Speaker of the House, Matt Huffman, and I did a lot of ed choice programs in the state. And this is coming from a guy, I'm a graduate of a public school board member, 8 years of a public school. But we created a voucher program which helps urban kids more than anything else. When you have a Cleveland City school that is just falling to pieces, you have to give urban moms and dads the opportunity with the voucher program to put your child wherever it could be. And what that adds is actually competition within the school districts. You know, you have open enrollment, you have all these different obstacles to school board members. So it's up to them to have a good, scholastics program, have a good athletic program, and to be inviting to people. I know in my old public school that I was the president of, they started a trades program within the school. So maybe a 4-year degree and $100,000 in debt isn't what you're supposed to be. Maybe you could become a welder and make $100,000 without debt. But we have to have different paths and get outside of the box. And I think it's an exciting time for you, the Madam Secretary, at this point. Do you think that we can incorporate all this voucher program and this ed choice and even have better public schools and all of it could come together? Am I wrong?
I really think we do need to focus. No, you're not wrong. And I do think we need to focus on making sure that our cultural viewpoint relative to education is not always that you have to have a 4-year degree, because there are other ways to have a great fulfillment, of a career and provide for your families with skill-based training, plumbers, electricians, HVAC, not only that, but technology developments that we're seeing. And we ought to start that more. Middle schools, high schools, leading into those career programs. And I think that's one of the things that our workforce development programs will show success for doing.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. And with that, I yield my time back, Chair.
I thank the gentleman. I recognize now the gentlelady from Michigan, Ms. Stevens.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Madam Secretary, I realize you're in the cabinet with the president, and you're the first cabinet secretary I've been able to speak with this term. And if you could please pass along to the president that 55 tariff announcements in 100 days are killing us in Michigan. I know that the president came to Michigan to celebrate his first 100 days